And thank you for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. London police are investigating another deadly attack. A van crashed into a crowd of people. That crash killed one person and injured several others. Eyewitnesses say the driver turned down a one-way street and accelerated as Muslims were leaving an evening prayer service. Officers have arrested the driver.
No matter what the motivation for this attack proves to be, we are keeping an open mind. This is being treated as a terrorist attack, and the Counter-Terrorism Command is investigating. This was an attack on London and all Londoners, and we should all stand together against extremists, whatever their cause.
The attack comes weeks after a van hit pedestrians on a London bridge and a knife attack in a nearby market. Those attacks killed 7 people and injured 48. President Trump is not under federal investigation. That is the word from a member of his outside legal team as the world continues to try and decipher the president's tweet from last week that appeared to confirm he was being targeted. Caitlin Burke has more.
A simple tweet keeping the Russia investigations in the headlines. Last week, President Trump tweeted, quote, "I'm being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. Witch hunt." Trump's legal team says the tweet was simply about a report that the president was under investigation for obstruction of justice, not a confirmation.
The president has not been notified by anyone that he's under investigation.
Jay Sekulow also points to testimony from former FBI Director James Comey, who told the Senate Intelligence Committee investigating Russian interference into the 2016 presidential elections that he himself had told Trump he was not under investigation. Other supporters of the president taking to the Sunday shows to defend the intentions behind his tweet.
Trump has a compulsion to counterattack and is very pugnacious. I don't think it serves him well. I don't think that tweet helped him.
Meanwhile, despite growing concerns that the president may fire Robert Mueller, the special counsel running the Russia investigation, Republican Senator Marco Rubio says the best thing for everyone will be for the investigation to run its course.
This is going to move forward. We're going to get the full truth out there. And I repeat, I believe that is the best thing that can happen for the president and for this administration.
As the investigation does move forward, a tip from the Deputy Attorney General. In a statement last week, he warned Americans against believing stories attributed to anonymous officials. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
President Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner will travel to the Middle East this week. White House officials say he will try and negotiate a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians. Kushner is scheduled to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah. This will be Kushner's third visit to the Middle East since President Trump was elected. The U.S. Navy has confirmed all 7 sailors who went missing after the USS Fitzgerald collided with a container ship have died. The accident happened Saturday off the coast of Japan. Navy officials identified the sailors Sunday. All were found dead in the ship's flooded compartments.
The damage is mostly underneath the waterline, and it's a large gash near the keel of the ship. And so the water flow was tremendous. There wasn't a lot of time in those spaces that were open to the sea.
An investigation is underway to figure out what caused the collision. Your tax dollars are paying the salaries of tens of thousands of soldiers, police officers, teachers, and others in war-torn Afghanistan. While it appears a noble cause, it comes to light that some of those getting the money don't even exist. CBN News national security correspondent Eric Rosales has uncovered government waste going towards these so-called ghost soldiers.
Okay. America's longest war is now into its 16th year. With no end in sight, President Trump is considering sending more U.S. troops to Afghanistan. More feet on the ground, however, may not be the answer, according to the man overseeing Afghanistan's reconstruction. Corruption is hampering the country's development. Case in point, reports that the U.S. government is paying the salaries of tens of thousands of Afghan soldiers that don't even exist.
When we identified it and said this was a problem, there was some pushback. There was pushback from the Pentagon. There was pushback from some members of the Hill. There was pushback from some of the bureaucrats, these nameless, faceless bureaucrats that you see in the government saying, oh, no, we're exaggerating.
Special Inspector General John Sopko says he was first warned about ghost soldiers from Ashraf Ghani before he was president of Afghanistan. Sopko says ghost soldiers were uncovered throughout the Afghan government.
We found it in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Public Health, the Ministry of Public Works, and in the military and the police, that there are non-existent individuals getting salaries paid for by you, the U.S. taxpayer, as well as our allies.
It's still happening now?
It's still happening now.
To date, more than 120 billion American tax dollars have been spent in Afghanistan, and another 7.5 billion has been appropriated but not yet spent.
All we're going to do is continue to spend money we don't have.
North Carolina Congressman Walter Jones wants to stop the waste by ending the war. Jones and Congressman John Garamendi introduced a bill which would stop all funding for the war 1 year after it's signed.
This is definitely what war is all about.
Since the war began, a growing number of faces line his hallway. Pictures of those from his district killed in the war. So far, 560. Jones says all he wants is a debate about funding the war, something that hasn't happened since 2011. Jones says House Speaker Paul Ryan will not make that happen.
It's time that the American people put pressure on the Congress because of the cost both to life and to the taxpayer.
I contacted Speaker Ryan's office. His staff said no comment and referred me to the Foreign Affairs Committee, who is currently looking over the bill. As for the corruption, Sopko says a Justice Center operation has indicted several Afghan soldiers, including a general who took a $150,000 bribe and got a 15-year sentence.
They're starting to do this, but they need help. They need mentors. And the other threat is 2 very brave Afghan investigators were just gunned down on the street by a hit team came. So that means they're getting close to some big mafiosi.
Bottom line, Sopko says the United States dumped too much money too fast into too small of an economy with too little oversight. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
A private Christian school in Indiana has become the focal point of the debate on whether schools can participate in taxpayer-funded voucher programs if they speak out against homosexuality. This comes after a congressional hearing on school choice. Senate Democrats cited Lighthouse Christian as an example of a school that discriminates against LGBT students because of an admissions brochure stating that the school reserves the right to deny admission to LGBT students on the ground that their lifestyle is prohibited by the Bible. Officials at the school in Bloomington say they've never turned anyone away based on sexual orientation. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos says discrimination is wrong, but that it is not up to her department to intervene. Still to come here on CBN NewsWatch. She's America's new UN ambassador, and she is standing up for human rights around the world. Stay tuned for our exclusive interview with Nikki Haley when we come back. President Trump knows a thing or two about being tough and bold, so it's no surprise he chose Nikki Haley as America's ambassador to the United Nations. As CBN's David Brody reports, she's been shaking up the UN, standing firm for Israel.
Don't let the Southern accent fool you.
Good morning.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley means business in her new role at the United Nations.
For those that don't have our back, we're taking names.
As U.S. ambassador to the UN, Haley has begun to shake things up at this international body, which has received plenty of criticism from its host country. That's where we began our one-on-one conversation in New York.
Well, I thought I needed to make how this community was going to see the United States. I thought that it was my job to go and start positioning that. And it was that the United States is leading again, and that they were going to see true leadership. But more importantly, they were going to know what the U.S. was for, what the U.S. was against, and there would be no gray area.
Israel is right at the top of that list.
The United States is determined to stand up to the UN's anti-Israel bias.
Long gone are the days when President Obama's UN ambassador abstained from a vote that labeled Israel's settlements a flagrant violation under international law.
It's been abusive. Like, it really has. I was floored when I got here at how biased they were against Israel. On the smallest things to the biggest things. It was almost like the UN community just bullied Israel.
Her action led to a hero's welcome in Israel this month.
Thank you for all your help in standing up for Israel, standing up for the truth, which is standing up for America.
Haley feels defending Israel is a moral obligation to do what's right. She recalls sitting through meetings where country after country went after the Jewish state.
I got mad. It was just unacceptable. And so what I did was I just called them out. And I, just said, I can't believe in times where we've got issues with North Korea and Syria and we're dealing with Russia and China, you're going to sit there and spend every single month, like you have for the last 10 years, on an Israel bashing session. It just blows my mind.
Haley's hit list is long. The U.S. is considering pulling out of the UN's questionable Human Rights Council, considering that countries involved in it also commit abuses.
The Venezuelan people have been robbed of their human rights. And yet, not once has the Human Rights Council seen fit to condemn Venezuela.
And Russia doesn't get a pass, especially over its relationship with the Syrian government.
If Russia has the influence in Syria that it claims to have, we need to see them use it. We need to see them put an end to these horrific acts. How many more children have to die before Russia cares?
So how does Haley think the U.S. should deal with Russia?
I think it depends on the issue. So I think that what you should assume is that we should always look out for the United States first and do everything we can to secure and protect American citizens. Having said that, Russia has not been very friendly with us on certain things. We've disagreed on Syria. We've disagreed on Ukraine. We've disagreed on certain other resolutions and issues, but we do agree on ISIS, and we do agree on how we're going to counter ISIS.
Countering North Korea is another challenge, possibly the biggest.
We have every right to be concerned about North Korea. This is not small potatoes when it comes to what we have to deal with. You've got a leader who is unbelievably paranoid about being overthrown, about being assassinated, about, trying to move into his country. And the truth is the U.S. is not pushing for regime change. We're not pushing for war. That's not what we want. And so we're telling them, don't give us a reason to have to do that.
All of this requires faith, and not one based on actions of others.
Ever since I was little, I know I always wanted to have a deep, strong faith. And I always felt like I had a strong relationship to God and, could talk to God during the day and all of those things that that bring you peace.
Raised in the Sikh faith of her Indian-American family, Haley says as an adult she became a Christian as the teachings of Jesus spoke to her. That faith surely got tested as governor after multiple tragedies in South Carolina.
For me, it was hard realizing I couldn't protect everyone. And when that sadness and that trauma kicks in, you have to strengthen your faith. You have to. And so I think that really forced me to have to just say, all right, God, you've got to take this. I can't do it.
And she realizes she has to let Jesus take the wheel here at the UN, too.
I feel like now that we're in New York, you see a lot more pain. You see, whether it's religious persecution, whether you see chemical weapons usage, whether you see crematoriums and things like that, we're starting to see all of those things. And it's just hard. And you just have to go back to your faith, because at the end of the day, the way I look at it is I have to be the strongest I can be. I have to do it with passion. I have to do it with conviction. I have to stay true to myself. But at the end of the day, I need to let God do. And so that's the way I look at it.
She's leaving it all in God's hands. And clearly, God is using Nikki Haley for such a time as this. David Brody, CBN News, New York.
Next, soft cookies baked by hardened criminals go inside the bakery whose snack line is now in the grocery stores is also helping the community. And welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. A Virginia bakery has come up with a recipe for giving a second chance to women who have a criminal past. The program uses baking as a way to succeed in the kitchen and beyond. Charlene Aaron shows us how Together We Bake makes a difference.
Patty Hunt is learning her way around this kitchen in Alexandria, a place that represents a new start for the former inmate.
Being here has helped me to realize that I can go back out and make something of my life.
Helping women like Patty is the goal of Together We Bake, an organization that empowers women with the tools they need for a second chance in life. Stephanie Wright, a former social worker, started the bakery with a friend just over 3 years ago.
We knew there were a lot of women in need in our area, so started doing lots of research, talking to lots of people about what our community was missing, and we realized that women really needed job training and support. They just needed to know that someone cared.
The program provides hands-on training and personal development to give women experience toward future employment in the food service and hospitality industry.
They spend a lot of time in the first part of the program in the kitchen, so they learn all about food production and food safety. They get their Serve Safe certificate.
Apple chips, granola, and chocolate chip cookies are just a few of the sweet treats made here.
Everything has a process. I learned about the measurements of the cooking, what goes into the cookies and the packaging. I didn't realize that when you weigh things and there's proportions just to make the product look perfect.
While baking is the key way that the women here at Together We Bake are empowered, the ladies also learn recipes for success for outside the kitchen. So good.
Coaching classes help the women take on challenges such as finding work, building confidence, and dealing with family members.
They learn about communication, conflict resolution, goal setting, all these things that really are necessary to be successful in life. And through all of that, they really develop the confidence they need to believe in themselves, to complete something. A lot of the women will say, I've never followed through and completed anything. I start a lot of things. So when they graduate, they feel so proud and they really believe I can do anything I put my mind to.
Kim Christian spent the last 20 years in and out of prison for drugs and shoplifting.
I have to stop this vicious cycle that I've been in, and this program is helping me to get myself together, like, you know, to be in society, to live normal.
Local markets, including Whole Foods, carry the fresh-baked goods, which helps to foster pride and accomplishment.
I never thought in a million years that I would be putting cookies on the shelf in the store to be sold.
It makes me feel so good to see our little shiny bags on the shelf, the granola we packaged, the apple chips we packaged, and I've never seen what we had in the store till I went there. The red bag stands out, our labels stand out.
More than 80 women have graduated from the program, which boasts a recidivism rate of just 8%.
About 60% of the women are employed, which is great. One of our recent grads from just about a year ago, she started her own baking business.
In the end, women are empowered with knowledge and skills, along with the hope of a better future.
It's almost like I'm giving back something, giving back to the community. From all the wrong that I've done, this is a second, third, and fourth chance for me, and I thank God for it.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Alexandria, Virginia.
He is indeed the God of the second chance, the third chance, and on and on. Stay with us. There's more of CBN NewsWatch straight ahead. Operation Blessing recently helped a small community in Mexico get safe drinking water and even built new classrooms for the children. Capaco in Sinaloa, Mexico has struggled with unsafe water and poor learning facilities. One kindergarten building collapsed, but Operation Blessing stepped in. Now the town has water on tap that they can drink and new classrooms that provide a safe environment for their children. Right now, it is time for your Monday Motivation. As you start this week, I hope you will remember this thought. God can breathe new life into a dead situation, and today is the perfect day to allow Him to resurrect the life dreams you've allowed to die. As long as you have life, there is work for you to do. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com. We love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. Of course, you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a marvelous Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.